Good evening, race fans. Welcome to the Cool Racing Network. Tonight, round 11 for the Chop Shop GT Series presented by Fuego Paints. And we are across the pond the other way. We are in Japan here at the Suzuka International Racing Course, and we are running the Grand Prix circuit here. So the big version of this track, you got the S's, you got the bridge, you got the little tunnel, and you got some tight hairpins. You got just everything. Suzuka just throws one thing at you after another, and this track is really relentless, and you need to be minding your P's and Q's at all times, but at the same case, you also need to be flat out as much as possible, as this track is a very fast, very flowy track in a lot of the sections. Carl Hamrick joined in the booth tonight by Mark Thomas. Mark, Suzuka is not a track that gets touched too much across iRacing, let alone in some leagues, but these guys are going to have to figure it out here tonight.
Yeah, they are. I quite like this place. It's tricky. Well, I mean, we've talked about flow tracks before, and this is very much a flow track. You've got the S curves leading up into Dunlop. It's a long left, right, left, right, left combination that seems to go on for absolutely ever, and you're just waiting to get onto that throttle, and it never seems to come. You always seem to be just about half throttle, trying to keep the car balanced. Yeah, again, it's not a commonly used track. It's not something that a lot of these guys have probably got too much of experience on, but I think it's going to be a great race because it does lend itself to good racing. There's a lot of big stops. There's a few places that you can run off here. It's a great place for GT cars.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of one of those tracks where you look at your tracks like Spa, you look at your tracks like Le Mans, and they just are. They feel like road tracks that are meant for your GT3 racing or your LMP racing and things like that. So this is one that definitely lends itself to some good GT action, and it's not going to be easy for these guys, especially because of the the lack of experience that some of these guys are probably coming out here with. But there's again a lot on the line. We're coming down towards the end of the regular season here. We take a look at the point standings. James Pierce not in attendance here tonight, but I mean realistically he doesn't have to be. He didn't have to be for quite some time now, as he's got 7 wins on the season. Nathan Biggert, JJ Burr, and Peter Gear all have themselves locked into the playoffs as well with their single wins. And then you got the rest of the field that is still scrapping it out. David Steiner most likely kind of locking himself in there just on points already. And then you got the rest of the guys kind of battling it out. Michael Caffrey probably close on points by himself. Dominic Ford, Andrew Payne kind of right there as well, but then it gets a little bit closer once you get towards the bottom there. Only 12 guys going to be making the playoffs. 9th place is Michael Strickland, Wesley Straight in 10th, Mark Rockin in 11th, and then you got that bubble right there. And going into to last week's race, Philip Caffrey above that bubble and nice and safe, but then with Peter Gear getting that win and locking himself in, it sees Philip Caffrey on the outside looking in, but only by a mere 3 points. So very interesting as both Hammond and Caffrey are out here on the track tonight. So we'll see who's going to be able to get it done, as I believe it's this week and next week, or am I wrong with that? And tonight is the last regular season race. Just want to double check that.
Now I'm going to have to look at their Discord just to check to see whether my co-commentator's got this right.
There we go. No, it is tonight. No, I'm correct. It is tonight. So this is where the playoffs will be determined. And after this week, we head to Canada at Gilles Villeneuve to start the playoffs. So. Yeah, I mean, probably the top 6, top 7 maybe locked themselves already into the playoffs, but a lot of guys are kind of right down there on the bubble, looking to make their way in. Steven Salas potentially with a good race here tonight can lock himself in. You got even a newcomer out there, Skylar Keitel, that. Yeah, a win gets you in, so you never really know. Yeah. And Philip Caffrey and John Hammond worried about that last spot in the playoffs on points. They could both be on the outside looking in if somebody that's below them grabs a win tonight.
And I think this course could very well do that. It could very well be that, you know, that guy just happens to know Suzuka, who happens to be able to get the car around here and get it around here effectively. That could be the deciding factor through all of this tonight. And I think that that's really going to throw the cat amongst the pigeons, so to speak. There's going to be a lot of guys out there who really don't have the experience of some of the other guys, and they're going to be looking for those all-important quick times.
Well, we are all done with qualifying now, and the grid is set, so we'll take a look at the rundown here, and it is going to be on the pole. Still looking for his first win on the season, but you know, again, he's looking good for the playoffs. Is David Steiner on the pole with a 2 minutes .898. Not too far behind him, though. Nathan Biggert only less than a tenth of a second behind him in second place. JJ Burr in third. Dominique Ford, Michael Strickland rounding out your top five. Then you got Jose De La Paz, John Hammond, Dylan Stuckey, another new one here to the series. Steven Salas, Isaac Balsamo rounding out your top 10. Then Philip Caffrey, Skylar Keitel, and Wesley Strait rounding out the field here. 13 guys set to take the green flag, and we'll head down to them right now. And you see they're going to be starting kind of on the backstretch right here, just a couple corners, and then we're going to be getting this thing underway. Man, it's going to be very interesting here, and of course I leave the standings up again. You know, it's one thing after another with me. You get what you pay for, I guess. But either way, you see the guys out here. You haven't missed any action right now, and it looks like Biggert is ready to get this thing underway, pulling away before the pace car even gets away. But again, the question is, with Pierce not here, is there going to be yet another winner? Could that winner finally be right here, the 63 of David Steiner? Again, another stellar qualifying performance, putting himself on pole. But he's got another guy that has got a win already. Nathan Biggert has showed a lot of speed at a lot of different tracks, and the car is nice and smiling once again here, as these guys will head into the final little chicane before we get this thing underway. And
it's going to be interesting. Sorry, Carl, it's going to be interesting here, because I think the car is going to make quite a bit of difference here. It is quite flowing. So, it looks like Steiner has made an absolute bullet of a start.
Yeah, green flag waving, as you see Barney there on the left-hand side, and a great start from not just David Steiner, but also JJ Burr jumping up there into second place. That's going to relegate Nathan Biggert back to third, Dominique Ford in fourth, Michael Strickland in fifth, as these guys head their first time into the S's.
Yeah, I think towards the S's, this is a long combination. These S's seem to go on for absolute ever, and on cold tyres, it's very, very easy to have the car break loose just before you get into Dunlop and then Degner, before you go underneath the track as you go through out of 9 up towards the hairpin at 10.
So head now into Degner, and everybody still doing a good job here on this opening lap. Get the track back up here for you, and I think this section right here coming up into the hairpin is going to be a place where you really need to pay attention. You can certainly see some passes, not just on the entry of the hairpin there with guys throwing up the inside, but more on the exit. You know, guys sliding a little bit wide, and you got a nice long section running all the way up here into the spoon, and this is where you're flat out all the way to here, and it's a good passing opportunity if you have the right side of the track.
Yeah, and the spoon exit is absolutely crucial as well, because it's a big, long stretch now before you get to 15, which then leads you into the Casio Triangle, which is a big stop. It's a hard 16, 17, 18. You got to get that car slowed down hard, because that's a sharp chicane.
You're looking at 130R right here, another spot where you need to be very, very aggressive going through 130R before you head through the tight little chicane right here. And then the last corner, simply called last curve, as they head down and fully take their green flag now. And everybody in a train right now at the front. It is Steiner out front, but JJ Burr right on his tail. Right behind him, Nathan Biggert. Right behind him, Dominique Ford. The first four kind of stretching out just a little bit over over Jose De La Paz there in 6th place, as it's the top 5 as Strickland is hanging right on these guys as well. And then after Jose De La Paz, right behind him, you got John Hammond, who again needs to have a good finish and needs to finish ahead of the guy that's right behind him right now, that being Philip Caffrey. And real interesting to see. I mean, Philip Caffrey, we see it every week. We see him stretch this thing out and grab a lap lead and stretch a fuel out and play some different strategies. Well, and now he's got to make sure he's got the right strategy to get this thing done and get himself into the playoffs. But good start by these guys up front, and really all the guys, only kind of one big mistake here in the beginning of the race, and it is Daniel Stuckey back here. We'll take a look at exactly what happened.
Just a little bit too much over rotation on that on the way in. Cold tires, I mean, it's very difficult to get the tires up to temp here, and yeah, I think he's probably decided that this is not a place for him. Jumps in straight back to the pits, wants to get out of the way.
Yeah, again, this track is not for the faint of heart, and I don't necessarily blame him. It looks like he's gonna retire the car already. He's gonna finish in 13th position. So out front again, your top 5, well, really kind of your top 4, then a little bit of a gap back there to Strickland, and then you start spreading out there quite a bit. But all the action right now out front as the guys exit 130R, head into the chicane one more time. And I tell you what, nobody's getting away from each other here at the start of this race.
No, it's very close. I actually thought that this might not be the case. I thought that somebody was going to just make a break and not see the rest of it. But I mean, the top 4, I mean, even the top 5, they were saying that they seem to be making a little break from Strickland, and that is true. But it's not so big that it's nothing that Michael can't actually bring that back. And I mean, the fact that he's doing that in a Ferrari around here is actually quite impressive, because that is not the easiest car to drive mid-corner around on exit. It does tend to be a little spicy, I think it's probably the right word to use, and the fact that he's actually managing to make that work is really impressive.
Well, I think actually the one that surprises me is you got JJ Burr and Dominic Ford in the Mercedes. I feel like that's the car that may not necessarily fit this track. You almost kind of need a car that's a little bit spicy as you're heading through the S's, and this thing just seems like it has switchbacks left and right. You need a car that kind of gets up on the wheels here a little bit and lets you rotate through these corners. The BMW probably not a bad car here. The Porsche not a bad car. They're nice and kind of stable to get you through a lot of these corners. But for an aggressive type of car, I don't necessarily mind the Ferrari here, but it's really the Mercedes. Just it's a faster car, and it's kind of built more for your higher speed tracks that there's not a lot of back and forth action. But they're making it work out here, and they're doing a pretty good job right here as we got 4 different manufacturers in the top 5 with BMW out front. Then you got Mercedes, Porsche, Mercedes, and then the Ferrari in 5th.
Yeah, and Strickland isn't letting them break from him, which is I find actually quite impressive. The Mercedes and the Porsche running wide, coming out of 130R there before they reach the chicane. Strickland, the Steiner taking a much tighter line there, managing to keep that car on the inside, getting himself set early for that chicane, and I think that's probably going to work for him. But we know that the BMW works well on its tyres, so and I mean, the Steiner himself, he's very, very predictable, very, very neutral. Seems to be able to run that car and make it work no matter where he goes. Also, I think it probably works quite well for him around here. There's a lot of, mid corner and where you need to carry that corner speed, and I think BMW does that really well.
Well, again, I mean, going through the S's here for sure, you need a car that is nice and stable, going back and forth, as it just seems like there's about 17 S's that you got to go through before you finally get out of that section. But even in corners 1 and 2, I feel is a spot where you can't overlook it at all right at the beginning of the lap, as it's 2 distinct corners. The first one almost more like a kink, and then the second one a little bit tighter of a corner, maybe more towards a 90-degree corner. But you almost take it like one full corner, but the first section you're taking a little bit faster. even though you need to brake for the second one, it's a really tricky little section right there. But I mean, it seems like Steiner has got this thing, you know, under control right now. But I mean, anytime he has any kind of little bit of a gap, these guys are right there to reel him back in. And I think it's akin to a lot of these straightaways here on this track, and a lot of high-speed sections that allow them to just grab onto his tail, draft him right back up, and close this gap back up as the top four are still right on top of each other. But a little problem here for the 61 of Philip Caffrey and the other Ferrari here in the field, just looping it here a little bit. Does a good job, stays right there, allows, I believe that was Wesley Straight to go by. And then he's got a couple more guys as Isaac Balsamo goes by. They go 3 wide past him right there. And he gets it back under control and back underway.
That one Porsche looks like it's got very little aero, very little aero left. I saw no spoiler on the back of that and no front end. I don't know who was driving that particular Porsche, but it looked a little worse.
Well, it's not this one, so I would think it might be, Skyler. There you go.
That one. Yeah.
It's just a shaved Porsche, you know. Just some like a little bit on the back, and you know, some just like it nice and clean and shaved. And he's just got 2 little fins hanging up the back. He's got a little side force. He just needed the side force. He didn't need the down force. That's all it is.
Yeah. That's the lightweight version.
Exactly.
Yeah. He's decided that he doesn't need downforce. He's just going lightweight in.
This is the GT 3.5 here.
Yeah. Well, that's probably GT 2.5 because I think there's half a GT3 car left on there. The rest of it's just originally Porsche. I'll tell you what, he's driving the wheels off it. I'm not going to deny him that.
Well, the problem is he's driven a lot of the rest of it off of it too, is the problem.
That's a good point. I think that probably because it's lightweight, he's actually managing to...
Oh, and there they finally get together, and that is... I can't necessarily blame Skyler on that one, as it looked like Wesley came right, or I'm sorry, Isaac Balsamo came right over there on the entry, maybe not realizing that Skyler was in there, and a bit of an issue there. But we've got some mixing it up front, and that is not the track right there for David Steiner. We'll show you exactly what happened. He's got to slow down, and oh man, just the hits early in the race just keep coming for David Steiner. We'll show you some of what happened back here, as maybe just a little bit of worry about the McLaren there of Steven Salas out there, and oh wow,
he couldn't get it started. He couldn't get it stopped.
Even JJ Burr
taking advantage.
Yeah, JJ Burr going a little bit wide, but he doesn't have a slowdown. David Steiner did. So what a finish to that lap right there, and we'll take you back live, and JJ Burr has gotten back past him. We'll now take you right to that and show you how Burr was able to get back past Nathan Biggert. As if we would just stay right there, we could have seen it as Burr stays in it into turn 1, and Biggert tries to go wide, tries to take him out there and get it done, but he's going to fall into line here. And our top 5 back in line, but a little bit of mix-up of the order, as now we have JJ Burr out front, Nathan Biggert, Dominic Ford, David Steiner, and Michael Strickland, your top 5, but a dive up the inside.
Grief, that thing on the brakes was late.
And that is something that the BMW is certainly known for, is those late braking opportunities. And now Steiner's got to go on the defensive and block that inside line, and
hold on to it.
Trying to save it as much as he can. You've seen it live right there. We'll take a look at it one more time here as these guys come through the corner. Here's the pass into the hairpin. Definitely a late move right there by Steiner. Gets it done, but then Dominic Ford has a better run out of the corner, and the Mercedes just has a more grunt coming out. They fight down the backstretch here, and that's where it starts to get spicy, as you see right there. Steiner tries to block the inside, but Dominic Ford got up the inside a little bit. A good job there by Strickland staying off the back.
Doesn't
Dominic
look like
Ford
this.
takes a major shortcut there and cuts off the entire spoon. Gets back into the racing action. I'm sure he's got some kind of slowdown, but certainly could have been a lot worse for both these guys, as I don't really see any damage on the Mercedes or the BMW. But man, just Steiner early in these races, if he could ever get to the halfway point without any kind of issues, he may be deadly, because it's the second half of the race that he really steps it up. And maybe that's, you know, due to, in part, that he's just pissed off at that point from the mistakes that happened in the first half of the race, and he drives a little bit better angry. I know I can attest to that. I'll raise my hand. I certainly can do that myself. Sometimes it just takes something to stick in my craw a little bit, and it really gets me to focus and drive that much harder. But somebody's got to piss him off before the start of these races. I mean, he's got the speed. He can get a win. He's just caught up with one thing or another here in the beginning of these races. But that's allowed now the top two to really check out, as JJ Burr is out front, Nathan Biggert in second right here, as we'll take a run through your order here. Michael Strickland has fallen off the pace here a little bit, as he just kind of backed off to allow those guys wrecking in front of him, didn't get involved at all. He is now sitting in third. Dominic Ford is in fourth. Nathan Biggert back here. I'm sorry, Nathan Biggert. David Steiner back here in fifth. Jose De La Paz right behind him here in sixth place. John Hammond doing what he's got to do out here in one of Mark's favorite cars out here in seventh place. Wesley Straight back here in eighth. Skylar Keitel with 3/4 of a a Porsche out right behind him and running him down. I mean, he ran down Isabel Salmo, and now he's running down Wesley Straight as well. So it's made that car think faster. It's a lot more lightweight. He doesn't have as much drag. I mean, I don't know how he did it, but he's got a little button down there, you know, just like it just pops off the back wing and pops off the front bumper, and he can get to it.
I want that button. I really do want that button. I'm sorry. And the reason why I laughed at it, I didn't mean to laugh. It wasn't anything that you said. It was just that on Strickland's Ferrari, it's got the word spinner across the side. I am not sure that is what you want written across the side of your Ferrari. It's just... it just made me laugh. Just like, sure, is that really what you want on the side of your car?
Well,
really?
As long as it's on the side and it's pointed straight, it's good. If you see that spinner spinning, that's what the problem is. But doing a good job out here right now, running in third,
yeah.
and we've seen Strickland have some pace before. It certainly would be good to see him, you know, kind of. Get a little notch in his belt, get a top three here heading into the playoffs, sitting in eighth in the standings right now. So in plenty good shape to make the playoffs. But you know, it's one thing to make it. It's one thing to just, you know, kind of squeak in and you know, just barely get out on points. It's another thing to kind of have a good taste and feel like you have a little momentum going into it.
Yeah, I think JJ Burr and Nathan Biggert, I think, are probably going at it quite hard right now. I've seen Nate make a couple of exploratory little moves just on the side, just to try and see if he can throw JJ off. I'm not quite sure just how effective that's going to be, but right now, that Porsche is another car that's really good on the brakes, and I think JJ is aware of that, and I think he knows full well that he might have to go a little defensive at points, and just to prove the point, he moves out of the way, just trying to take that slipstream away there from Nate to try and give himself every opportunity that he can.
I mean, it's bad enough when you look in the mirror and you see the driver looking at you. He's got two sets of eyes looking at him right here. So, doing a good job, though. I mean, JJ Burr, we've seen him out here with speed before, and he's kind of another one where as long as he doesn't get in his own way, he's got a good chance. Obviously, he already has a win on the season and has locked himself into the playoffs for that. As I mentioned that Michael Strickland was in ninth in the point standings. He's actually in, or I'm sorry, I mentioned he was in eighth. He's actually in ninth in the point standings. But either way, still 43 points ahead of the cut line and in good shape. But both these guys right here are locked into the playoffs, so really all they're going for right now is playoff points and getting some of those bonus points that to carry over, let alone, you know, having the most confidence going into the playoffs, getting that last win before you head up to Canada for Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. As I mean, I would say if there's ever a track that maybe is kinda like Suzuka, would probably be Circuit Gilles Villeneuve up there in Canada. I mean, it kind of has almost a similar kind of layout. Doesn't really have the S turns going back and forth, but you got the chicanes, you got the tight hairpins, and it's a little bit tighter of a track. It kind of reminds me of it a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, there are similarities there to Villeneuve, but I think each track has got their own big up running really wide there. I think each track has got its own little foibles, and I think one of the problems with this place is that it's very easy to big up making a move coming up the inside here. Got a decent run out. Is he actually going to be able to make enough space? He's going to fall back in the line.
And that's that Mercedes, the grunt of that Mercedes down the front stretch. I mean, Biggert clearly had the better run out of the chicane and through last curve, but just did not have the power down the straightaway. And it's kind of funny, like, you know, the Porsche before the upgraded Porsche got instituted here, it was the car to beat when it came to high speed sections. It just had a ton of high speed, and now it's almost kind of been throttled back a little bit more handling into it, which is great. But now when you're trying to make a pass going down the straightaway, but now he's going to send it up the inside here. And now he's going to be on the outside as he's going to look for the crossover. And this is very opportunistic going through here. They stay off each other. Great driving right there. And a lot of respect shown by both drivers, but Burr is going to hold on to it as they head into the hairpin.
Absolutely superb driving from both drivers there. Nate looking for that passage through, looking to try and switch back, try and find a gap, making gaps as they appear, but JJ Burr aware, using the grunt of that Mercedes to just make it that more little difficult, using that bottom end, that low end tool just to drive him out of the corners and shut Nate off. Superb driving, great skills from both.
And I mean, just to give you an idea of how close this battle is up front, not just for the top two, but for the top three. We take a look at the last lap times, and you see right there a 202.114, a 201.996, a 202.020. I mean, it's over 2 minutes to get around this track, or at least, you know, right thereabouts. And these guys are just the exact same times going around this track, so it's pretty phenomenal. Last lap 201.5 for Dominic Ford, so certainly Ford a little bit maybe perturbed from the incident there with Steiner, as he's got the bit in his mouth and he is starting to put that. It's just a whale of a time right there, a 201.2, a fantastic lap. But Strickland not too far behind that time, as he is in third in front of Ford, as he ran a 201.3 that last lap. So he is certainly running these guys down here a little bit, and he'd love to see these guys keep mixing it up, as he is only 1.7 seconds behind these top two.
Well, I was just about to say the exact same thing. Whilst these two are fighting each other and battling it out, Strickland back there is probably rubbing his hands together with a bit of glee, whilst he's not driving, that is. And he's like, yeah, go on, that's it, fire, please, do, yeah, I'm just going to stay right here. And lo and behold, up ahead, what do we see? Strickland and Biggert side by side once again.
Yeah, really tough to get it done on the outside there, but he gets enough of a drive coming off the corner. He's going to have the inside around the long section here, but he's got to get him cleared before they get to Spoon. If not, it is going to be JJ Burr on the inside again, and Burr going to send it up the inside and hold on to the lead. They're still side by side through the beginning, and it looks like it is going to be Burr getting out of Spoon with the lead one more time, but I don't think Biggert's done, and he is not, as now they come down the backstretch here, and side-by-side action one more time as they head into 130R. Biggert going to fall back in line and maybe try and set something up here for the chicane, but no, he's going to back off a little bit. He knows he's good through the chicane, but holding off, and again getting a great run out of the chicane. Goes to the inside again, and he's diving all the way to the inside. I know he doesn't want to get any kind of rubbing and getting into it right now, but if he wants this lead coming out of that final corner, he's got to get alongside of him and get a little side draft to kind of hold him right there on the inside. So maybe Biggert doesn't necessarily want the lead right now. Maybe he's just content hanging in second.
Well, he's putting an awful lot of pressure here on JJ. I mean, at some point, something's got to break. One of them's got to make the move and make it happen. And at the moment, it looks like Biggert is just at this moment just applying all the pressure that he possibly can. He's putting that Porsche in every single mirror that Mercedes has. Rear view, left, right, all of them. Even the little red camera at the back is probably freaked out right now because that's the only thing that he can see. But again, whilst we were talking about this, Strickland is still there. He lost a little bit of lap time to them in the last lap, but I mean, at this current moment in time, he's just there and making his way and just waiting to see what happens. Being that far back might not be a bad idea if these two do decide to get together.
Well, the other guys that are just waiting on all three of these guys to mix it up. Take a look back here. Dominic Ford, again, another 201.3 that last lap. And not to be outdone too much as a 201.7 for David Steiner. So the top five, probably not too far from just Constantine and themselves right back together. But up front is where the battle is. And you see it again, Biggert just all over the backside of Strickland, getting a little bit bigger in the mirrors here. It was at 2 seconds last lap. It is down to 1.4 right now. So that Ferrari coming to life here as we're getting close to the halfway point. Another great run out of the corner here from Biggert. Does he have what it takes to get alongside and get a little side draft? He does not. He's going to fall back in line. Can he get a good run down the front stretch and maybe make a late move to turn one? Does he want to? Peeks out there a little bit, just shows that little cheeky smile into the right rear view mirror, falls back in line into turn one.
Yeah, and he seems to have that exit from the chicane almost nailed down. He just needs to get that drive sorted out so that he can get properly alongside JJ as they come down onto that straight. But I think this is probably where that Porsche is really putting the pressure on that Mercedes. The Porsche, very well balanced at the moment, but he's going to watch those front tyres because the Porsche does tend to heat them up. So now he's going to try and at least try and make that car look big, and he's good on the brakes there. Once again, as they come round, trying desperately to absolutely get into the mirrors of JJ there. Try and make that car look as wide as it possibly can.
Oh, and a lockup there by JJ Burr. It's going to allow Biggert to get to the outside here, going through the long sweeping section, but again, he's going to lose out on the pace. He's going to have to fall back in line, and I'm starting to reserve the fact that I think he is just happy being in second, but another late break there, and that's going to force Biggert off the track. He gets back in line, but look who is right there now as Michael Strickland has got himself back up into the mix. Biggert has got to reel himself back in here now, and he's going to have company as Strickland is going to be coming with him. Another 5 seconds back is Dominic Ford. Looking right there, you see him in the top of the picture, trying to get back up with these guys. But yeah, some late braking and some locking up right there by Burr has actually worked out to his favor. Got himself a little bit of a cushion, but I tell you what, that Porsche through the chicane there at the end, just absolutely phenomenal. And there we go, coming into the pits. So a little bit of early pit here, so maybe going for the short pit here is Nathan Biggert, going to sacrifice second place. And that's going to allow JJ Burr to get out there and get on it and hopefully try and stretch away from Michael Strickland and have a good possible in-lap on this lap himself.
Well, I think that might have been a masterstroke there from bigger. I think that probably coming in, he thinks to himself he might be faster. He thinks he's got more pace in the car. So now if he can offset himself and get himself out in a bit of clean air, that undercut is normally quite strong. If he can get himself out and put in some like a really good outlap or some decent outlaps, depending on how long JJ stays out there, this could be the undercut that he needs to actually make this move work. And when everything is said and done and the pit cycles are finished, he's hoping that he's found himself a way to pass JJ without having to do it on track.
Yeah, we've seen these guys all season make it on one stop, so he'll be good to go to the end here. Will Biggert. I haven't seen these guys take tires. I think maybe once or twice in the season we've seen guys take tires, but you know, most likely just coming in there, taking enough fuel to get himself to the end. So, you know, realistically, you're not coming in, you're not getting fresh tires, you're not getting a huge advantage on the under or the overcut. It's just getting in there, getting those cooler tires, and being able to get back out there. But it's really a lot of time made up on the entry and the exit of pit road on these tracks. Maybe not so much on the entry here at Suzuka, as you're coming out of a bit of a slow section with the chicane before it heads you into pit lane. But any little bit counts. I mean, you've seen that the lead was only about a half a second when Nathan Biggert came into the pits. We'll see what the 7-11 does here. JJ Burr leaning towards the right-hand side. He's going to go ahead and pull it in. Late move there, almost got the grass, and you don't want to do that coming in, but Michael Strickland going to keep the Ferrari out there, and he's going to go ahead and lead this lap and take this thing one more lap. We'll see if the overcut works for the 88 here, but we'll keep an eye on the track map, and we'll take a look and see where Nathan Biggert is in a relationship as he is coming down the backstretch right now. JJ Burr still in the pit lane. You see that 7-11 looking like it's trying to light up, still not there, as there's a few other cars in pit lane, as Biggert now coming through the chicane. And this is essentially going to be your battle for the lead. And JJ Burr still in pit lane, a longer pit stop, and that is going to cost him.
He's coming out. I can see him coming out.
That is going to cost him the lead right there, as we take a look at the pit times, and it tells you the story. It tells you all you need to know. And that right there it is. Nathan Biggert with a 24.8 second pit time, a 26 flat for JJ Burr. So now the question is, did Burr need to take a little bit extra fuel? Did Biggert take enough fuel? And even look right there, Dominic Ford now sitting in third place, as not sure what happened to Michael Strickland. He is in the pits, but he's way back there. And I think I think I see why. And that is why right there. That's not what you wanted to see.
No.
I'll try and rewind it because I don't see the actual incident here, but I see some tire marks, I see some smoke, and heartbreak here for Michael Strickland.
Oh, it was one of the Porsches.
And the Porsche loses it in front of him, and right there, clips him, and probably broke the front. Yeah, you see that front right not moving at all, and everything pops back into place like a Lego piece. But that, you hear the car just revving. It has no engine whatsoever. Michael Strickland back into the pits, towing into the pits, and that is that's heartbreak, as Strickland having a really, really good run here tonight. But now the focus is back up front, and we've got Nathan Biggert out there looking for his second one of the season. JJ Burr looking for the same thing, but he is now 3.5 seconds behind, and I gotta feel that now that this 19's got some clean air, he might be looking to check out.
Yeah, I was just thinking the exact same thing, Cole. I think he knew that he might have had a little more pace in the car than JJ did, and he just needed to find himself a bit of clean air so that he could get, you know, that time in and try and break away. And now that he's done that, I mean, there you go. His last lap was a 2:01, almost dead. I mean, that's quick for around here. And then just to prove me wrong, JJ goes and does a 2-minute .94. Thanks, JJ. I appreciate you, but
Well, no, that's his best lap. He hasn't had his full lap yet. Yeah. So.
all right. Yeah.
But yeah, and Bigger was just kind of hanging there, and I think just kind of biding his time behind JJ Burr. I kind of agree with you, and now he's got the clean air, and that Porsche is working well behind a car and in dirty air. So I'd imagine now that it's got some fresh air on that front, it's going to help him turn just even more and be able to stretch out. And you already see the lead out to 4 seconds. JJ Burr now has got a 3-second lead over Dominique Ford, who certainly is looking to bite into that time, and he'd love to get back up there and battle for second place. He was kind of gifted a podium by Michael Strickland having the issue, but David Steiner would love to get up there as well. He's 7 seconds behind Dominique Ford, but both of those guys getting involved in it together and sending him towards the back, and they could have been battling for the win here tonight.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, as you say, we've still got half an hour of racing left, so I mean, it's not over by any stretch. And as we've seen, this isn't exactly the easiest place to get around, so there's still something that could very well happen. But yeah, right now, I think that the Bigger's just going to want to try and consolidate the lead that he has. He's on, he's on fresh fuel. The car's probably feeling pretty decent. They feel really nice, heavy, so he's now going to just probably want to try and stretch himself out. There's very little difference in their last lap time. All the top three, all like 201.08, 201.07. Dominic Ford just a little quicker with a 20.99. Even started behind a 201.10. So the top four are all very much on the same pace.
So since we are on the second half of this race, we've got 26 and a quarter minutes left in this race. Already coming down to the end of this regular season, but it's about time to crank these guys up, crank us off, and give you guys a little love to hear it. sights and sounds here of the Chop Shop GT3 Series presented by Fuego Paints. Also want to send a shout out to the other sponsors here, which would be W Energy, Track Racer, and Admin Box. Thank you to all the sponsors for the support here in the series. Also, thank you to everybody out there tuning in tonight, and make sure you hit that like and subscribe. Help these guys out and help yourself out to all that CRN has to offer. But we are now down to about 20 minutes left in this race, Mark, and do we have any kind of fireworks that may be going off here tonight? It looks like Dominic Ford maybe trying his best to scrap his way back up there to JJ Burr, but maybe spending a lot of his chips already, as it's kind of holding tight there at 3 seconds, and kind of the same thing from Nathan Bigger to JJ Burr.
Yeah, I mean, Dominic's he's still got a little way to go, but right now I think. I think it's pretty much static. They seem to be about that 3 second gap, and the aggression of Dominic, I think, is going to have to show to make that 3 seconds up, considering just how equal it seems like the top three are right now. I'm not sure if 3 seconds is entirely possible without some kind of mistake, but yeah, I mean, you know, again, as we were saying earlier, I mean, this is Suzuka. It's going to be one of those tracks where anything can happen, and anything can happen. It's just going to be a matter of who blinks first.
Right now, it is Nathan Bigger out front by 3 seconds, 3.3 over JJ Burr, who is in second, 2.8 over Dominique Ford in third. Then you got David Steiner, Jose De La Paz rounding out your top 5. John Hammond is in fifth, had a little bit of a scare earlier. We'll take a look back right here. Actually, sorry, he's in 6th place as... Okay, apparently does not want to show me what happened to him. We'll show you something else here that happened to... Was he straight? As no, doesn't look like the replays want to work here. Oh, there we go. So this was Wesley Straight. We'll show you his while we're on his. And... I don't see any crash. It looks like he just came into the pits right there. Okay, he stopped and then towed into the pits. And now we'll take a look back here and see what happened to John Hammond, and maybe just locking up, getting a little sideways here. And yeah, so nothing too crazy here. As I was wondering, because he was still in 6th position. Had a little trouble getting that thing turned back around. Maybe just showing off the car here to Mark a little bit. Just want a little TV time to show Mark his favorite car. But doing good and looking like you know, he's got it under control. He's in 6th place right now. He's ahead of Philip Caffrey, which is where he's got to be. The question is, you got Wesley Straight there in 10th position in the points, 23 up on Philip Caffrey. You got Mark Rockin, who is not in the field here tonight. So, I mean, Rockin was only 7 points up on Philip Caffrey. Right now, the way it stands, Philip Caffrey is going to be getting enough points to get himself up into the playoffs. He's going to knock Mark Rockin out of the playoffs. And, you know, Wesley Straight in the pits right there in 10th position, but, you know, should be safely in there, and potentially he may end up being that last spot that makes it in the playoffs in 12th spot. But, hey, it doesn't matter where you make it, just that you make it.
Well, this is something that we've been talking about pretty much all season. It's you know, it's the worst races that get you into the playoffs and give you those points that you need. And you know, just to prove our point, it seems to be the way that it's happened tonight. It gets a big old dose of grass there on the exit. It's yeah, and you just need to try it. You need to be there. You need to, you know, to win these championships. You have to get those points. You have to make those points up, even if it seems like a race isn't going your way, or it's not being the race for you. There could be those few points that you need just to push you over the line, and I think that's a point of case just been proved. What we've been saying all along.
Well, the other thing is racking up those bonus points, those playoff bonus points to kind of carry you into that first round of the playoffs. Obviously, James Pierce having a ton of playoff bonus points this season, to carry 33 in there with all the work that he's done with his 7 wins. Nathan Bigger coming into tonight's race already has 5 playoff points lined up, and looks like he's going to go ahead and grab some more before the regular season ends. Peter Gear and JJ Burr also having 5 bonus points with their wins. And then Dominique Ford and Michael Caffrey also have 1 point that they're going to be taken into the playoffs at this point. At least entering tonight's race, that's what the lineup was here. Michael Caffrey not in attendance, but he had plenty of points that he will be able to make it in through there. Andrew Payne, kind of the same thing. Again, Mark Rockin is the one that is probably going to get bumped out on the final race right now, but that's not in the concern of Nathan Biggert. He wants to get another win here. He wants to get some more bonus points. He wants to be the one that has the most confidence heading into the playoffs, and so far looking good, and only 15 minutes left in this race.
Yeah, right now I think he's probably just worried about conserving the lead that he has. He realises that it's fairly static between himself and JJ behind, with Ford now not seeming to make as much of an inroad into JJ as was once thought. Dominic now relatively safe from Steiner, who seems to be about, what's that, 7-8 seconds ahead of Steiner there.
Ford is 9.5 seconds ahead of Steiner. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, so the top 4 look pretty static right now. So now they're probably just settling in, and they realise that the pace is roughly equal now. They're going to switch from all-out attack mode into try and conserve and get those points kind of mode. They don't want to take any big risks, but they also don't want to lose too much pace because as we've seen, once you start coming off a little early or switching up your driving too radically. Especially with a place like this where you're constantly from left to right, moving and shifting that weight from one side to the other. Any kind of drop in temp is really going to upset the car. And as we've seen, it's very easily done. As we can see, the sun's starting to set slightly with that red hue drifting over the racetrack.
Well, I'd like to say everybody kind of just settling in and the positions are what they are, but I don't think that's the case here for the top 2. And you take a look at the little overlay right there. JJ Burr has been chipping and chipping and chipping. It was over 3 seconds. It was all the way up to over 4 seconds at one point. It's not the case anymore. It's down to about 2.5 seconds, as you've seen, gaining 0.2 of a second, 1/10 of a second, over 1/2 a second, and then even 0.2 of a second last lap. So JJ Burr has found a bit of a groove, or Nathan Biggert's letting off the pedal a little bit. Either way, he is starting to claw into this lead, and potentially we may have a battle on our hands before this thing is over. But right now, it's still in the hands of Nathan Biggert out there out front. JJ Burr in second, Dominique Ford in third, David Steiner, Jose De La Paz rounding out your top 5. Then you got John Hammond, Skylar Keitel, Philip Caffrey, Michael Strickland, and Dylan Stuckey, your top 10. Wesley Strait, Isaac Balsamo, and Steven Salas will round out the field. But right now we only have 9 cars on the track. We got 2 of them in the pits and 2 of them retired for the race. And you look, and maybe Biggert's got us tuned in here as he puts the hammer down there a little bit on that lap and actually gains almost 0.3 of a second right back, and it's back over 2.6.
Yeah, he probably has got our dulcet tones in one of his ears right now listening to us. He does actually seem to turn it back on. I mean, it could be his relative, but I'm going to assume it's us that he's got in his ears and not Crew Chief or one of the other various apps that you can use to tell what the guys are doing behind you. He seems to pull it back out to the 310s, and then hold midway through the lap, the gap seems to have closed back down to 2.6, 2.7. So, JJ might have the beginning of this, the beginning part of this course actually figured out and got it working. So we'll have to wait and see whether or not JJ can chip back up that lead and see if he can make it come back.
Yeah, I think the best way to compare our soothing sounds is probably to thrash metal. I think it's about as soothing as we are up here. Not sure if you want to be listening. We're not going to calm me down here in the car for sure. But Either way, whether he's listening to us or not, it's working out. It's at a 2.9-second lead now as he's got the pedal to the metal one more time, and he is certainly smiling here tonight on the car and in the car. And we're down to 11 minutes left in this race. I mean, we've seen some charges by these Mercedes, as we've seen Dominic Ford charging up to JJ Berger, but it seems like they're only kind of good in that first part of the run. Then they kind of die out a little bit. And I thought it was the Porsche that kind of wears out the tires, but maybe Nathan Bigger just being a little bit more conscious of the tire wear and being nice and smooth here, as both JJ Berger and Dominic Ford now starting to slowly slide back away.
Yeah, I think as the cars lighten up, the Merc's handling tends to change more dramatically than the Porsche, or that seems to be, for me, what the case has always been. I don't like the way that the Mercedes handles when it's light, whereas the Porsche, it does transition somewhat, but it doesn't seem to transition as badly as the Porsche does for me. So I think that's probably what we're seeing here, as the cars do get light with only 10 minutes left to go in this race. Nathan's probably finding himself feeling a little bit more comfy in the car, whereas JJ and Dominic are now finding that light Mercedes is tending to get a bit more of a handful. They tend to pick up speed as they lighten up, but yeah, it's going to be interesting just to see who can maintain what pace towards the end of this race.
So we got 10 minutes left in this race. What do we got going out there in the chat, Mark?
It's relatively quiet, actually, to be honest with you. I've still got Barry Kistler out there. Lazy G123 with good luck team EGP again. And lo and behold, I actually don't think he's out here. Barry TK right at the end, looking good. Nathan, yeah, I agree. Nathan is actually looking, he's looking very secure. He's looking very clean. I think he might just be like checking on that mirror. Oh, the gap's gone. It's up massively. It's brought Ford's past JJ.
Yeah, we'll take a look at exactly what happened here, and losing it out of 130R, hard impact into the wall. It's certainly going to do damage to that Mercedes. He gets it back on the track, but you see still not handling well into the chicane.
Oh, it's broke.
Yeah, I don't think it's handling at all, and oh, he's gonna have to bring that into pit lane, and heartbreak here for JJ Berger now late in this race. It's like Jose De La Paz, another one here in the top 5, having some issues. This is going through the middle of Spoon, just gets a little bit wide. Certainly a lot safer and a lot nicer of a slide and spin right there. Not going to hurt him right there. But, oh man, we'll take a look one more time at JJ Berger coming out of 130R, and it just gets a little bit wrong on that curbing. It hurts the car bad, and that is going to cost him a second place. It's going to cost him a podium. I think he's gotten back out here. It's not going to cost him a top 5, as yeah, he's back out the track in 4th position here and got that thing all repaired up. But man, a couple of guys we've seen just shouldn't be in the position that they're at right now. But lo and behold, after everything that has happened, you now have Dominic Ford in 2nd place, David Steiner in 3rd. So these guys getting together earlier in the race. You see still a little bit of damage there for Steiner, and again, just another race you got to look back at and what could have been. And I think I said it before, he is probably the best driver in this series right now without a win.
Yeah, I agree. He's got almost as good as luck as I have. He just never seems to fall for him. I think Steiner might be my spirit animal. He just doesn't seem to pan out for him ever, which is unfortunate. We've spoken more than a few times up here in the box, and he's always there or thereabouts, and his consistency always impresses. He always has. He's always been there or thereabouts. And I honestly thought for a little while there at the very beginning of this face it, this could be the one where he actually brings it home, and unfortunately it just wasn't meant to be.
Yeah, I mean, I was joking that you're my brother from an English mother, and he may be your brother from another hemisphere down there in Australia. But I mean, all things working out here in the end for him, and gonna finish with a good finish here again. I mean, again, you can't scoff at it. It's still a top 3. A lot of potential, a lot of skill with this series, and getting away with podiums nearly on a weekly basis is certainly not a bad thing. I mean, there's a reason he has got the most points out of anybody that doesn't have a win by a large margin. I mean, he is coming into the race here tonight. He was 190 points ahead of the cutoff. The next guy in line was Michael Caffrey, who was 83 points ahead of the cutoff. So almost, well, more than double the amount that hit the next place in line had on points. And again, just tons and tons of points, tons and tons of good finishes, a lot of podiums here. Just has yet to grab that top step, and maybe he's just saving it. Maybe he's saving it for the playoffs. Maybe he's going to go on and run the playoffs. And you know, realistically, the regular season wins are great. They get you those playoff bonus points, but when it comes down to it, the playoffs are where you make your money.
Yeah, very true, Cole. If you can make it to the playoffs, then that's when it all comes together. That's when you really have to pull it out of the bag. If you've got anything left, then is the time to use it. I'll be curious to see just how the playoffs work out actually between these guys, because I think it's going to be an absolutely phenomenal playoff. As you were saying, there's a lot of skill in this league, and there really is a lot of skill in this league. We've seen that from the start right to the very finish. These guys, the first GT3 season, I believe, and looking at it, you would not be able to believe that. You couldn't say that from the offset, because they've adapted so well to these GT3 cars and the racing that they've proved. As we've seen earlier today between Bigger and JJ, I mean, it was just superb racing.
Taking an early look here at the playoffs. As we mentioned, the next race next week is going to be at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. Then the rest of the round 1 is going to make up of Detroit, Belle Isle. So a little street circuit racing going to be very difficult there on the tight streets of Belle Isle and Detroit. And then the final race in round 1 is going to be at Daytona, and certainly very, very familiar with anybody that has any kind of road experience is going to be at the Daytona road course. So that'll be round 1. Then we'll cut the field down, and round 2 will be 2 races, and that's going to be at Bathurst. Certainly kind of a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde kind of track. Long straightaways, nice easy section, but then you have the infamous mountain section, and I can just waiting to snap on somebody up there. The second race in round number 2 is going to be at Road Atlanta, and another track that a lot of road racers will certainly know, being the host and site for the Petit Le Mans. And then the final race, the championship race at Interlagos. A very, very fun little track right there, and it really, in my eyes, a great track for GT3 racing. So that's a little sneak peek at the playoffs, which are going to be starting up next week and going all the way through till October 4th is when the championship race is. But right now, our focus is here in Suzuka, and looks like maybe John Hammond losing a little bit of focus here late in the race, and we'll take a look at what happened. This is coming into the hairpin here, and again, I think he's just he's not having that much that much not track time, TV time. He's using this hairpin right here to just get some TV time up. Hold on, I didn't get enough TV time yet. Let me just take it nice and slow here. Okay, now we'll get going. So look at
that paint job.
Exactly. There it is. I was waiting for you to just let it go. Just let it out, buddy.
I love that car. I just think, I mean, there's not enough chrome out there in the universe anyway, but I mean, just come on. I mean, that's yeah. We've talked about this before, but you know, a shout out to all of the guys who do the paints and all of the wraps and those for these cars, because the amount of skill that it takes to get these things done and to make them look the way that they do. If we look at Lightning McQueen or Lightning bigot, as I'm going to call it from now on, because it's just, I think it just suits that car to absolute perfection, even with its smoky eyes.
Well, he's been lightning McLean here tonight, and he is going to get this thing done. And he is looking to grab his second win on the season, and again put a little stamp on the regular season here. Finish on a high note. Going to have one more circuit around as he will be taking the white flag from Barney this time by. And just a really good, consistent race, a patient race. Stayed behind JJ Burr for quite some time before he finally went ahead and made his move to get along by. And we'll take a look to the left-hand side, and you see the white flag waving for Nathan Bigger one more time here around Suzuka to grab win number 2. And kind of a shame to see the car right behind him, that being Michael Strickland, as this could have been where he was racing for position. I mean, he was up there. He had a great run here tonight, but fortunately a lap car just kind of spinning out, going back and forth in front of him, and just clips him at the wrong angle, sends him in the barrier, kills the car, kills the engine, and fortunately he's relegated back to 11th position back here. But in the end, Nathan Bigger just really putting a stamp on this race, out to a 14.5 second lead now, as JJ Burr had his issues. Dominic Ford was trying to put on a charge as much as possible, but I think he's finally just kind of worn that car down, and he's kind of settled into his spot as he is there in second place. And get to a camera angle actually shows you the cars here, but David Steiner is in third place, and you know, kind of a good bounce back for both Ford and Steiner after getting together early in this race, and good to see that both those guys will still finish on the podium. JJ Burr, another one of those just, you know, tough luck, and having just a great run out here tonight, and you know, could have potentially been a win. Was still hanging with Nathan Bigger, and run him down here a little bit, but just getting a little bit wrong out of 130 R, getting on the curbing and just snapping it around, killing the handling of the car. And I think all in all, he's got to be happy with the fourth, considering what happened with the car. I mean, it happened at probably the best spot on the track. He can just pull it right in there, get that thing fixed up, and get back out there. But this has been the man here tonight. The lights are coming on, but the champagne's going to be coming out, as coming through the chicane here. He's got the last curve to go through. Nathan Bigger is going to win here at Suzuka, grabbing win number 2 on the season, and he is going to lock himself very nicely into the playoffs with the second most amount of bonus points heading in there, and looking good going to Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. Coming through the last curve right now is going to be your second place finisher, Dominic Ford. Good fight back here, and good consistent run in the second half of this race to grab that second place. Coming up to the chicane here and looking to finish in third is going to be the 63 of David Steiner. Again, just hate to harp on it, but just another race where it just kind of fell away again for him. Had the pole, looked like he had the car to beat in the beginning, but it's going to be a third place again here for David Steiner. JJ Burr coming through the final section now. He is going to bring the Mercedes home in fourth position, and another guy that, you know, what could have been. And it just, you hear the recurring theme here: don't beat yourself.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that's just gone to prove itself. Another point here tonight. You can never tell. It always seems to be that, you know, just when you think that you've got it, everything seems to be falling into place. You're in the groove. Everything seems to be, you know, falling right. It just takes that, I wouldn't say lapse of concentration, but just that slight exit being a bit too wide, catching one of those rumble strips, the car gets unsettled, and before you know it, you're scraping a wall. And I wouldn't say that these GT3 cars are delicate. They're not really, but they can take like fairly aggressive damage. And, you know, breaking that rear toe link, I think there for JJ was just unfortunate, because he didn't seem to clip the wall that hard, and then lo and behold, he can't keep that car in a straight line. Has to come in, has to get that fast repair and get that car back out. But yeah, I think you're right. JJ coming home in full, for as upset as he will be, I still think that's a great result.
Absolutely. So we will go ahead and we'll take a look at your complete rundown here tonight and that is qualifying. So your race results are going to be Nathan Bigger winning here tonight by 15 seconds over Dominique Ford, David Steiner in third, JJ Burr in fourth, Jose De La Paz rounding out your top five. A good run for him too, just a quiet little top five here and a good run by the 50. John Hammond coming home in sixth, Skylar Keitel in seventh, Michael Strickland, another one that had a chance here and just kind of had some issues and fell back to eighth place here. Ninth place going to be Philip Caffrey. 10th place is going to go to Dylan Stuckey. Wesley Strait in 11th, Isaac Balsamo in 12th, and 13th, rounding out your field, is going to be Steven Salas. Let's go ahead and turn it over to these guys, and we'll start getting these guys up here for some interviews. Let's look at it back a couple laps here. Watching these guys go around the track, and first one we're going to bring in here is going to be our third place finisher, and that is going to be the 63 of David Steiner. And I said it probably 20 times during the broadcast, and I hate to bring it up, but another one that just slipped through your fingers here again.
Yeah, hi, Carl. How are you, mate? Yeah, it was an interesting one, mate. To be honest, I struggled all day, or at least from about the third lap onwards. It did slip through, yeah. I struggled with tyres. They're good for 1-2 lap pace, as you could see from the qualifying, but then they really started to fade, and I was having trouble keeping up the pace. And towards the end, I was really struggling on those tyres. Yes. But that wasn't the only problem for me. I got some issue with braking. I'm not sure what's going on, but the BMW's normally been pretty good on brakes. But today, the braking distance between myself and the cars behind at the start of the race was significant, and JJ was really defeating me strongly into the braking, those couple of big braking events, the hairpin and the chicane. So maybe I'll take a look at the physical setup. I'm not sure, but yeah, those things aside, yeah, it was a bit of a struggle, but you needed to put it together, and Nate did that. Dominic, he was there too, and I'm not sure what happened to JJ, but I'll check it out later.
Yeah, it's kind of surprising. Me and Mark talking about it, that the BMW kind of known for being a Danny Ricciardo-esque type of car that just loves to be the last one to break into the corners, and it did seem like you were struggling, especially in the second half of that race, and maybe it was kind of akin to those tires just not being happy as well. But either way, I mean, you come away with the third place, and looking at the regular season in a whole, as we are now done with the regular season, heading into the playoffs, you come away with just a ton of points. And I mentioned it that you're arguably the best driver in the series without a win yet, and maybe you're just kind of saving those fireworks for the playoffs. But how does it feel to just have the regular season like you had, and a bunch of top threes, bunch of podiums, and a bunch of points that you really didn't need to worry about pointing yourself in, as you were kind of locked into the playoffs for quite some time now, just by your consistency?
Yeah, I think I'm pleased with that, mate. I think there's no prize money here. This is all, they're friendly events. So, the stakes aren't high, and a win would be great, and we'll see what we can do in the finals. But yeah, good consistent driving is what I'm happy with, turning up each week. And there's been a couple of mistakes there, and I've also had some bad luck. But those things aside, I've been able to be fairly consistent, and that's great. 2 poles for the season, which is good. But yeah, we'll see what we can do. We'll see if we can keep it up, and see if we can convert during the finals coming up with Canada next week, which is good. I like Canada. And on from that, I think Detroit Belle Isle, I've driven that once and I loved it. So we'll see. Yeah.
Well, let's be honest. When it comes down to some of these series, sometimes the bragging rights outweigh the trophies and the money that you can get anyway. So certainly, I know you're going to be putting it out there, and you're going to be trying to grab a win, 2, maybe 3 throughout these playoffs. And at the very least, I know you put forth your best effort. If we can just get you through that first half of the race, I feel like you're going to be there, almost every time. But either way, another great run here tonight, another podium, another third place. So congrats on that. And before we let you go, anybody you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, thanks, Carl. Yeah, shout out to Fuego Paints and the Chop Shop team again. Otherwise, to all the guys turning up today, and making it to the event and putting in a good race. I look forward to watching it later. It's always good when you watch these on the big screen. They're a very entertaining race. And so, yeah, thanks. And I look forward to hopefully having a chat with you next week.
All right, sounds like a plan. Well, we'll let you get out of here, celebrate with the boys, and start getting ready for these playoffs.
Thanks, Carl.
That is your third place finisher here tonight, the 63 of David Steiner. Now we'll move over to second place, and Mark, this is going to be the second place finish here tonight, the 33 of Dominique Ford.
Dominic, Mark up here in the booth. How are you, buddy?
Doing all right after that. That was pretty interesting race, I'd say.
Hello? Is there anybody there?
Yep, he's there. Can you not hear him, Mark?
Hello?
I cannot. If you just give me 1 second, let me check my Discord.
Well, I'll tell you what. While you're doing that, I'll go ahead and take the interview here, and I'll let you have Nathan Biggert. But Dominique, you there?
Yes.
Oh,
Hello.
okay, there we go. Yeah, so certainly an eventful race here for you, and you seemed like you had a pretty good car, and
Weird. I'm having more.
kind of a big breakaway from the. Oh, you got me?
There we go.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. I got you.
Oh, I've got it myself now as well. For some reason, it all came back at the same time.
All right, well, Mark, why don't you go ahead and take it back since you didn't get anything from me?
I will take it now, thanks, Carl.
Over to you, Mark.
My God. Dominic, how are you, buddy?
Doing all right after that. I'd say that race was pretty interesting.
Yeah, it certainly seemed it. I mean, you had great pace at the beginning. It looked very static at the start between the top four, and then it all seemed to get a little spicy just before, the 15-minute mark with people making some moves. And but it looked like you came through at the end of that. There was a little bit of unfortunate for some of the other guys, Steiner and JJ having a little bit of issue. But it seemed that you came out on top of that. But Suzuka's one of those racetracks where anything can happen.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Everything you said was basically spot on. Great start. We had that group up there in the front. We were pulling away from the back markers a little bit there, and we were kind of pulling away. Like you said, like at the 15-minute mark, they had that issue with David and JJ, and me and Nathan both tried to capitalize on that. He took the lead of the race. Pit stops got an issue, but overall, it was a great start.
Yeah, it really was, and consistent towards the end. And your pace was good. It looked like you were bringing JJ back slightly towards the end of that, and then the pace kind of remained static. We were talking to David, and he was saying that the tyres were becoming an issue, and he was finding the handling a little difficult. Was that the same for you, or was it just at that point you were secure in your position and you just wanted to consolidate?
A little bit of everything. Towards the end, like at the very end, maybe last 10 minutes, 15 minutes, is when the tires for me start to fall off. I was pushing at the beginning when I got in the pit stop because I wanted to see how close I could get to JJ. Maybe they'd make a mistake. And then I got the fastest lap, so that was pretty nice. And it was pretty good to the finish. Like you said, I was just trying to hold on to it, keep my place. I was pulling away a little bit from David, so I was just trying to hold on to my place. And JJ made a mistake and managed to get second, so that was really nice.
Yeah. It looked from the replay that JJ might have just come a little wide. I think he was out 130 and just scraped the wall and broke a rear toe link, which then meant that he had to come into the pits, and that put you up into second. And then from there, it looked like there was no looking back from you, and it was just going to be between you and Biggert. And I think Biggert just had just a little too much on you for you to be able to close that back. But still, good points here for you tonight. I think that pretty much guarantees you a place in the playoffs. So now this is all going to get pretty spicy from here on in. Any tracks in the playoffs that you're really looking forward to?
Not too much. I'm just taking it as it is. I'm not sure what tracks we've got coming up. We've got Montreal and Detroit coming up. So Montreal, I'm not excited for. I'm going to be honest about that. But Detroit, I love that track. So I'm excited for those tracks coming up, except for Montreal. That'll be interesting. I think be nice.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Yeah, I mean, a lot of these tracks suit certain particular driving styles and others don't. But even so, it's going to be a very interesting playoff, and with Pierce coming back, that's going to throw another couple. And Peter Gear has proved himself to be, quick. So there's a lot of drivers who I wouldn't say not here tonight, but who have guaranteed themselves in the playoffs now, who are probably going to start coming back next week. It's going to make that fight at the front even more interesting. But before I let you go, my friend, is there anybody you'd like to give a shout out to?
Like always, every time, thanks for you guys for doing the broadcast. It's probably a lot of fun watching out there, seeing us do whatever racing that we're trying to do out there. And it's always fun going back and watching. And thanks to the field for keeping it clean. JJ, David, everybody, it was really good race today. Happy to pull away with the second place.
Okay, my friend, thank you so much. Great race, great second place from you. We'll hopefully speak to you soon.
Yes, likewise. Good night.
At your second place finisher here tonight, the 33 of Dominique Ford. And now finally, we move over to your winner here tonight, and that is going to be the 19 of Nathan Biggert. And Nathan didn't exactly get the start that you probably wanted. He started on the pole, or not on the pole, but on the front row, and it looked like Steiner just got an amazing jump and pulled JJ Burr with him on the initial start there tonight. So you fell back to third, but the top five just kind of checked out from everybody, and you guys were making it very interesting at the front for quite some time before it just seemed like something that kind of almost seems like it happens week in and week out. Just one falls off, then another falls off, and another falls off, and you were there to just kind of collect the pieces. And it was you and JJ for the first half of the race. So take me through that first half and just, in the 5 in a row battle, and then just kind of hanging behind JJ for the entire first half of the race.
Yeah, definitely. Like you said there, he got a great start. And I just, I was cruising. I wasn't sure when we were going. I knew we were going to start early to try to spread the field out a little bit, and he would get the jump. But yeah, when Dave took off, he pulled JJ with him, and I fell right back to third there. And I was happy there. I mean, I was pushing, and there was definitely spots where I think I probably could have, tried to make a move. But I was happy just riding in line, especially where you never know if it works out, and then you bring more guys back up to us, and how we had that little bit of gap. I was happy with that. But then great battle, the 5 of us all in a line, just and that was what I was doing, is just biding my time, hoping these guys make a mistake eventually and I could capitalize on it, and it worked. That last chicane there, they both made a mistake on the same lap, and I just was able to sneak right through. But then JJ was definitely aggressive. He come right back in turn 1 and got the position back. But yeah, I'm a patient person. I'm just trying to, get all the laps in, finish the race. And if opportunity presents it with a mistake, then I'll try to capitalize.
Yeah, kind of during the race, I dubbed you as Lightning McLean, as you were keeping that Porsche testing clean here tonight. And it seemed like there was a lot of opportunities for you to pass JJ Burr, or at least, give him a good run. And you got alongside of him quite a bit in the first half of that race. Were you looking to finally make that pass, or were you just, if you were able to make it nice and clean and quickly, you would do it? If not, you just kind of fall back in line?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say the latter on that one. I was not really looking for it, but also just testing the waters. This is my first race ever on this track, so I wasn't aware of, where's a good place to pass, where I could get the good run. Man, that Merc, it just has the straightaway speed. Yeah. So I wasn't gonna beat him. I could come out onto the straight with a better run than him, and he'd still pull away from me. Yeah. So I pretty much knew that was out of the question. It was gonna have to be him make a mistake or in a turn. So yeah, I was just testing the waters and seeing what I could get away with, and just having fun learning the track.
Yeah, we seen it lap after lap. You were just getting a fantastic run out of the chicane. and the last section of the track right there, and you'd get such a great run coming on the straightaway, and it was almost like watching an LMP3 and a GT3 do battle. You know, the one had the speed, and then all of a sudden the other one just pulls away, and that Mercedes just has so much grunt down the straightaways, and it's kind of amazing. And I mentioned to Mark, it used to be the Porsche that just had a ton of speed before they brought in the new Porsche here, and now they kind of, I don't want to say dumbed it down a little bit, but they took a little bit of the speed away and gave it a little bit more handling. And unfortunately, you were suffering from that a little bit as the Mercedes was just getting you on the speed here tonight. But the pit crew gets it done again, gets you in and out of there quicker than your competitor JJ. Got you out to a nice sizable lead. You're out there to a little bit over 4-second lead. Now starting to start chipping it back in. And were you kind of looking in the relative at that point when you seen it down to 2.5?
Yeah, I was. I was getting worried because, I mean, I was pushing. You know, I wasn't just trying to cruise up there. To me, at a new track and everything, and the speed he had, a 3 to 4 second lead wasn't nothing. You know, I was one mistake away from him being right by me. So, I mean, I was pushing as hard as I can. He was still catching me. So I was definitely working as hard as I could and sweating. And I think he probably would have made it, but I got lucky, and the fact of him pushing so hard, he ended up making one more mistake, and it really cost him there. But yeah, definitely, I would say the pit crew got me this win. Like that was an awesome move. It's the first time I've ever, I think, been able to pull that off, a full undercut, and come away with like a 3-4 second lead. That was awesome. They definitely won this race for me.
Yeah, I think you got about maybe a second and a half from the pit crew, but the other 2.5 was all from your in lap and your out lap there, getting you that nice little buffer. You get your second win here on the season, and you do it on the regular season finale. So obviously you got the most momentum, arguably, going into the playoffs now. Taking a look at the playoff schedule, are there some races that you're looking at, or are you just looking to kind of take it round by round and just move your way through to get to Interlagos and then put all your chips in the barrel there?
Yeah, I would say the next two are very unfamiliar to me. I haven't even purchased them off of iRacing yet, so it's going to be a struggle. But then again, you know, this is, like I said, this is the first race I've raced on this track. So, I mean, I tend to pick it up quick and enjoy it. And I think what helps is we run in the high downforce package. So, you know, you can only go so fast, you know, so it dumbs down the cars for us and keeps us all really close and even on times. But yeah, I would say I'm not looking forward to the next 2 weeks. But after that, Daytona is something I'm very familiar with. When I first joined iRacing 9 months ago, that was like my first big road course race, was the Daytona 24. So very familiar with the track, at least, and comfortable there. And then right after that, as I joined, I did the Bathurst race, and I love that track. I mean, it's scary and deadly, but a lot of fun, and looking forward to that.
Yeah, it's one of those tracks where you hold your breath for half the lap, and then you can finally breathe once you get down off the mountain there. But I certainly have some fond memories and some good races there, but it takes some time to get used to. But again, another one here on the nights. You do a good job. You were the one to beat here tonight, even though it looked a little tough in the beginning. You were able to get it done. Are your thoughts looking at the championship right now? Are you just looking to make it into the next round, and then make it in the next round, going from there, or are you looking to kind of go out there and make a statement?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm not looking to win the next, you know, couple races or nothing. I'm just trying to survive through these rounds. You know, I think that's where it comes in. There's a lot of good drivers in these races, and you got to put the whole race together. You know, you got to make no mistakes in order to get a top 5 in this race. So I'm just going to try to do that, you know, put a whole race together, do all the laps, don't make a mistake. And the finish position will be what it is. And then definitely put some time in, and just, if I can get to the final championship race, just go all out there and try to win that.
Well, so far so good. You did what you had to do here tonight, and you get yourself into the playoffs. So we'll see you next week starting at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. But before we let you go here tonight, anybody you want to give a shout out to or thanks to?
Yeah, absolutely. Always. I always want to thank the Chop Shop League, and they just do a great job with all the leagues that we run with these guys. I have fun running with them, like five nights a week now. And a lot of the oval racing, we're doing a dirt series now. and then this GT3 series, and just a great core group of guys. And then you can see like the new guys that come in like blend in really good. It's a great environment, you know. So anyone out there looking for a good league to run, definitely come see what Chop Shop's about. You'll find something you enjoy. I want to thank Core Racing Network, you guys doing the broadcast. I'm obviously won the race, but yeah, I always look forward to going back and watching these races. You guys do a phenomenal job. Really entertaining, you know, funny, keeps me on my toes. You guys do an awesome job. And also just want to give a shout out to the league sponsors. You know, My Three Sons helps us a lot. Track Racer, Fuego Paints, everyone, C2 Gaming helps this league out a lot. I just appreciate y'all. And that's what keeps this league going. You know, this stuff ain't free to do, and just appreciate everyone that helps out. And last but not least, I always give a shout out to my mom. And since I won the race, this one's for her.
All right. Well, congratulations once again, and we certainly appreciate the shout out as well. So, go ahead and celebrate with the boys, with your mom, and we'll see you next week up in Canada.
All right. Thank you. Have a good week, guys.
That your winner here tonight. Big smile on the car, big smile in the car, and that is Nathan. Big smile, Biggert, getting the win done here tonight. A good run by all these guys, and certainly it was a track that was, again, not familiar to everybody out there. And you heard even for your winner here tonight, Nathan Biggert, first race out here tonight. It's not one that's run too often, but it's one that can really put on some good racing because of that. You know, you got some guys that you're not going to have too many guys that have that much familiarity, so you're not going to have anybody stretch out. And we've seen that the biggest lead of the night ended up being from Nathan Biggert, which was out to 4 seconds, and that was slowly closed up to 2.5 before JJ had his issues, and then, you know, obviously Nathan was able to just stretch it out to the end. But I mean, for the first time for a lot of these guys seeing Suzuka, I think they did pretty well, Mark.
Oh, I completely agree with you, Cole. Yeah, great racing. Again, something that, you know, we talked a little about earlier. The woefully underused track, Suzuka, does provide some absolutely phenomenal racing, as we've seen here tonight. I mean, you know, the battle between JJ and Nate and just side by side for a lot of it, due to the way that this track's laid out and the width and, you know, just the way that the track is. And again, once again, these guys at Chop Shop have just put on an absolute brilliant race, a display of great driving, great sportsmanship, through, especially again with JJ and Nate driving side by side, but giving each other room, giving each other respect, and, you know, even some of the little touches that we've had. You know, I sometimes have the radio on in the iRacing, the comms on in the background, and, you know, there are apologies and, you know, don't worry, everything's cool, and, you know, and you, as Nathan was saying, a lot of that is down to the league itself. The Chop Shop guys, absolutely very tight knit community, very appreciative of each other and the way that they race each other, and that goes and that just bleeds through into the racing.
So again, we mentioned it, the playoffs starting next week, and we head up to Circuit Gilles Villeneuve up there in Montreal. So what do we have to look forward to next week up there at in Canada, Mark?
Wow. It's going to be a great race. I think with some of the guys who weren't here tonight, like James Pearce and Peter Gear coming back, I think it's going to be great racing. Again, an iconic track. It's very similar, not quite as wide as here, but I think that there's a lot of people who are going to want to try and put a stamp on, you know, and establish themselves in the pecking order. So I think, you know, next week is going to be the second part, let's just put it, of this season, because I think things are going to get real spicy real quick.
Yeah, and I think these guys are going to need to figure out how to put a one-lap speed run in there and get a good qualifying lap because of the track being a little bit tighter. Not as many passing opportunities. You can certainly get it done. There's as some passing opportunities, but there's going to be a lot of follow the leader through some parts of the track and kind of the first half of the track until you get to the hairpin and kind of on the backstretch. But that is all going to be starting up next week. Hopefully you guys are ready for some playoff action here for the Chop Shop GT3 Series presented by Fuego Paints. Again, thank you to the sponsors here tonight of Fuego Paints, Admin Box, W Energy, and Track Racer. Thank you to everybody that tuned in here tonight. If you haven't done so, make sure you hit that like and subscribe. Thank you to my fellow commentator, Mark, here. As always, it's been a pleasure. Hopefully you guys are ready to hit the playoffs running. And if so, we'll see you at the track.
Take care, people.